Hi, everyone. Welcome to Your Disabled Joy. My name is Nico and I use he, him pronouns. I'm a white man with parted blonde hair, large blue and brown spectacles, and a black t-shirt underneath a brown cardigan. I'm seated indoors against a purple wall and some bookcases. And like about 25% of the US population, I'm disabled. Non-disabled people might see our lives as pitiful, tragic, sad, but I don't know, guys. I've been disabled a really long time now, and I think there's also room for disabled joy. However, the disability community has as many members as it has opinions. So I've asked my friend Alan here with me today to talk about disabled joy. Alan, thank you so much for joining me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me here today.
Of course. Can you share a joyful moment with me? It could have to do with your disability or your diagnostic process, or it could be totally separate. Either is valid.
Absolutely. This specific joyful moment that I had actually happened last week. I took a solo trip to Los Angeles. For context, I am from Las Vegas, so I took a little road trip by myself going to Los Angeles for about a week from Monday through Friday. And originally, this was supposed to be a friend's trip, but on the day of that we were all supposed to go, my friends unfortunately had to cancel, due to circumstances. And so a part of me, which is also tied to a little bit to my disability and kind of I've been doing a lot of unlearning and learning this year in 2023 has been, like the limitations that hold me back and control. And limitation and control has always been two things that have severely impacted me living as a disabled person. And I live with Marfan syndrome, which is a rare genetic disorder, which comes with a bunch of different conditions that affect like my vision, my bones, my joints, my heart, everything, my entire being. And with Marfan syndrome and being born with it, I've undergone over 6 different surgical procedures, starting at the age of 3 all the way to the age of 19. So throughout my childhood and my teenage adolescent years, it was filled with, going to 6 different doctors, having multiple surgeries. And I always thought that joy could never exist with me. It was out of my control. And so when I decided to take this trip to LA by myself, which was terrifying because I'm so used to doing things with people, with other people, and it felt more comfortable, it felt more familiar. And so when I took this trip by myself, oh my God, I had one of the most joyous, fun experiences that I've had in such a long time. And a specific moment of joy was last Thursday. I went to Santa Monica Beach, and the beach for me has always been a place where I feel so grounded. I feel at home with myself. And so I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to go to the beach. And so I took with myself a bit of blankets, a little bit of towels, forgot my sunscreen, which I was like, how do I forget sunscreen if I'm going to the beach? But I forgot my sunscreen. I laid out my towels, walked to one of like the nice areas by the shore, and just laid down, closed my eyes, and I allowed the sun to embrace me. I could feel like the sunlight just kissing my skin, the nice, cool, warm air, the sounds of the ocean in the background, my eyes closed. And for the first time in a very long time, I truly felt peace and joy simultaneously. And I couldn't explain it to you. I cannot explain that feeling, but in that moment, I had an awakening and realization that even as a disabled person with what I've gone through with, like the trauma, the challenges, the difficulties that I've gone through that my mother has gone through because she's also disabled. And, I got many of my conditions and the disability from her. And I have another sibling who's disabled. I've realized that I don't have to suffer every single second of my life. As disabled people, we do go through moments and experiences of suffering, of despair, of sadness, but for myself, I've come to realize that my disability is just a part of me, but it is not all of me. I can, in a way, choose to live in a state of joy and peace and happiness and spread that with other people. So when I was at that beach, just embracing the sun and embracing the environment and allowing just like the ocean and everything around me to just embrace me, I felt so much joy and peace. And ever since that trip, ever since just laying there for like an hour, I felt so changed. And I kid you not, since that moment, I have felt a constant state of joy, just so much joy, so much love, so much happiness. And it's amazing because again, I used to feel that joy and happiness were out of my control, but since that moment of joy experience, I felt nothing but love and joy, and I just feel so blissful and so appreciative to even be here, and to also to be interviewed by you is such a joyous experience and moment for me as well right now.
Thank you, Alan. I really appreciate that. And I'm so glad that you got that time to be quiet, to be still, and then to
Yes.
just have that joy for yourself. I tend to think that as our world gets increasingly like more busy and more like just full of stuff, that being
Yes.
quiet or being still might be revolutionary in and of itself. I definitely see you in that. Thank you so much. Have there been ways where your disabilities have intersected or impacted how you pursue joy and how you pursue happiness for yourself?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
And this goes back to what I mentioned with control and joy and autonomy have been things that I've always valued for myself. And I always thought that joy and happiness were out of my control. I used to believe, and I've been doing a lot of unlearning, that the state of being joy and happiness and love and all these different things was out of my control because my disability, since as early as I can remember, was always the one in control. It affected my mood, my emotions, what I could and what I could not do. And one of the unlearnings that I've been doing this year, specifically in 2023, over the past few months, has been unlearning the fact that my disability is just a part of me, but it is not all of me. My disability does not control me or what I can and cannot do. And while I do acknowledge for myself that there are things that I cannot do, I just cannot do them, there is so much that I can do. So much. I feel that I have this limitless, unlimited potential for greatness and capability. And I used to just think about, oh, wow, like these are the things that I cannot do, and those were always at the top of my mind. But then once I shifted that thinking of instead of focusing on what I cannot do and focusing on what I can do, it felt like magic was happening. I had like a mind-blowing awakening realization. I was like, what? Like you're telling me, for the past 22 years that I've been alive, I've been focusing on the wrong things. And I'm very appreciative and grateful that for me, my joy and happiness is no longer just tied to just like, I have to suffer, I have to go through struggle. As many disabled people do, we all have vastly different lived experiences. And for myself, at least, I always thought that, oh, disability is just tied to struggle, it's tied to pain. But I'm learning that it doesn't just have to be that. We can exist joyfully and happily. And my disability does intersect with my other identities as well. I'm also queer, I'm gay, I'm also indigenous Mexican. And one of the biggest things that I saw was that, especially with being indigenous Mexican Zapotec, my family from Oaxaca, they're indigenous of the Zapotec tribe, is that the stereotype in a sense where many Mexicans, I'll speak on my behalf of my own community, Mexicans are hard workers. That joy and happiness is tied to being able to provide, to produce, to if you can do all these things, then this is joy and happiness. But for me, that was never my reality because of my disability. There's so many physical things that I cannot do to produce, to work. And so that also affected the way I saw joy and happiness. There were sometimes family members or people who I knew from my own community who would say, if you just did this or you produced that, you'll be much more happier. But that was never the case for me because a part of me knew that as my lived experience being disabled, that it's not just about producing, overworking, overstressing, doing all these things that harm my body, but taking care of myself. Taking care of myself is joyful and happiness. Knowing that I can just take a break and doing the things that are right and aligned with me, that is joy and happiness. And it's been one of the most beautiful lessons and experiences that I'm coming to learn and unraveling for myself this year. And I'm hoping to help other disabled folks as well, like my sibling, my mother, and people in my own community to help learn and unlearn these things. That joy and happiness is not just tied to suffering and pain, but we can live in a world, in a state with our own communities where we're just filled with love, happiness, and joy.
Thank you so much. I'm seeing this recurring theme, right, in your answers of having to unlearn things and then
Yes.
getting to access new perspectives, new experiences, and new joys as a result of that unlearning, but also relearning things in a way that is perhaps a bit more inclusive. Is that fair to say?
Yes. Absolutely. And it also comes down to, in the society and the structures that we live in with ableism and how our society is structured to essentially, put disabled people at the bottom, to dismiss us, whether intentionally or unintentionally. And that unlearning has come because I realized that it's as sucky as it is that we are born into the society of ableism and these structures are in place.
Right.
That was not my doing, but what I can do, what is in my control, is unlearning the harmful teachings and learnings that ableism has enforced upon me that I used to take with me and as I moved in life, and unlearning all of that and more towards an inclusive, more disabled centered approach of like self-love, care, community, happiness, and centering joy. So you're absolutely right regarding my answer. That is sort of, like the key common thread that I kind of have in all my answers.
Absolutely, absolutely. I often think about where we're going as like a disability advocacy movement, and I'm not sure how we
Mhm.
get to this like inclusive utopia that we really want to see have happen, but I do know we're only going to
Yeah,
get there together, not separately.
exactly, 100%.
So, Alan, it sounds like you have had a lot of experiences with disability, which means that this next question might be very difficult. What one thing do you want everyone else to know about disabled life and disabled quality of life?
Yeah. I For me, the one thing that comes to mind is that for disabled people, experiences in the way of life, and especially for me, just again, like I'm 22 years old. I have so much life ahead of me that I'm going to go through, as a disabled person, both beautiful, terrifying, treacherous. And one thing that I am realizing that I have learned, especially from my community of disabled people, my own mother who's disabled, is that regardless of the way of life, and knowing that we all have different lived experiences, disabled people are thriving. We're thriving in a world where they want us to not exist. They want us to be silent. They want to dismiss us. They even want to, annihilate us. They don't want us to exist. And I'm realizing that so many disabled people, while this is one scope of reality that we do deal with, with the trauma, the suffering, the struggle, the structures in place, we are thriving. We are winning. There's so much joy to be seen in the world, especially with disabled people and our experiences and just the capabilities and the power that we have. We have so much power. And back to your point, and the fact that we do want this world one day where we just live with joy and love. And it is possible, but it is possible if we all do it collectively together in community. And so that's one thing I would want people to know is that we are thriving. We will have our moments where it is pain, it is struggle, it is despair. But like all people, everyone goes through that. We're not alone in that experience. But just knowing that our own community can come and band together and still celebrate ourselves, love ourselves, support each other as we thrive and succeed and win, whatever that may look like for us, what thriving and success looks like, we're doing it. every single day. Our own existence, just being here on this call together, is us thriving and winning and succeeding and joy and happiness. And it just makes me so excited to continue that on, working with folks like yourself and other folks in the community to be able to spread that, because we are going to reach, I believe, one day a world where disabled people, non-disabled people, we live just with joy, happiness, and as a collective. So that's one thing that I'd want people to know about our way of life, and just, it's the experiences of disabled people.
That's remarkable, Alan. Thank you so much. I love that answer, because it goes so against what typically gets out there, right? That disabled people are
Yes.
not thriving, or that we're facing like just one insurmountable challenge after another. So I really appreciate
Yes.
your perspective. That's really great. My last planned
Absolutely.
question is one that I ask all my guests, regardless of project. Is there a recent win that you're celebrating that you haven't mentioned, that you want to mention, and names that we can celebrate it along with you? Or if not, what cool things are you doing? What things have you got coming up? If you're open to connecting, or a lot of your efforts are online, where can people find you online? This is really your chance to be your own cheerleader, have your own soapbox, promote yourself. So please, brag.
Absolutely. So you can find me on LinkedIn, Alan Cruz. I'm actually taking a 1 week social media detox starting yesterday. So I deleted every single app, for me. But you can find me on LinkedIn, Alan Cruz, Instagram at probably Alan. Any people who love, to cultivate community, supporting each other, helping each other win and succeed, hit me up. But back to your question about recent wins and what I've been up to. I have been so it's I'll mix in the two different questions. So what I've been up to is, looking for work right now. I have done work in digital marketing and social media management, and it's a pivot from what I used to do work in. I graduated last year from college with my degree in criminal justice and did a 9-month internship in Congress, working here in Nevada and on the policy team in DC with Senator Catherine Cortez Masto's office, only to find out that policy and law, which was a path that I thought I wanted to do since the age of 16, I found out last year it isn't exactly what I want to do for the rest of my life. And since then, I've been on a soul search, figuring out, well, what is the thing that truly aligns with me, that honors me, that makes me feel the most grounded and authentic. And it's in the realm of digital marketing and social media. So I've been applying to many jobs. I even created my own website. Just self-teaching myself a bunch of different things. Created my own website a few months ago called Gen Z Acts, which is about like entrepreneurship, personal growth, education development, and I'm kind of rebranding that right now. But I've just been self-teaching myself a bunch of website design, marketing, you name it. I've been trying it all, dipping my toes in them. And my recent wins have actually been I've applied to about 6 or 7 jobs in the past few weeks. And this might seem weird, but it's kind of like a little bit of a mind shift. But all of the jobs so far that I've applied to, I have gotten a rejection from or a no from them. And to me, that is not a failure or rejection, but it is a win. Because for me, the way that I view rejection, number one, I believe that rejection is protection, in a way that these opportunities that I have went for, they don't necessarily align with me 100%. They don't align with who I am authentically. But number two, it's that cheesy quote that rejection is redirection. And I truly believe that in so many instances where I was rejected from something I thought that I wanted, something even greater, even monumental, even beautiful came into the picture after that. And so I'm collecting all these rejections like Pokemon cards. These are all wins for me, because I know that I am getting closer to what truly is aligned with me, and that I'm world. So those have been wins. I've been applying to jobs, putting myself out there. Any companies, nonprofits, entities that are hiring for digital marketing, social media management, let me know. I got my resume ready. I'm ready to speak with you. So just hit me up.
Hey, that's really great. you would make any company proud to be on their social media team. I could
Thank
set one really
you.
well for you. Absolutely, absolutely. Alan, thank you so much. It's been so refreshing and like almost rejuvenating to talk with you. So I really appreciate this.
Absolutely. And again, thank you so much for this opportunity. What you're doing with this project is much needed. And I just want to express all my gratitude for the work that you're doing for our community and really making us more visible and showing our joy and our happiness. So thank you so much for that too.
Of course. Audience, tune in next time. And remember, I'm rooting for you.